Hey, welcome to Too Many Gadgets. So today I'm talking about my home office, my desk, and how I've improved that to better suit that I'm working much more from home now. So if you're anything like me, I've been working at home for like 9 months out of the last 12 months, I would guess. And I actually had a pretty decent home working setup. But now that I worked every day at home and not just once in a while, that sort of stressed that situation, and it had to be improved. So I had like a list of things that I wanted to work on. So one was the obvious one. I wanted a desk that could be adjusted in height so I can sometimes stand and do working like I would do from my office where that's possible. So that's sort of a no-brainer and something that many of you may already have. The second thing I was focusing on is supporting multiple monitors, but in a more flexible way than just adding a secondary monitor. I actually used to have 3 monitors in my setup, but went back to one when I bought a really good 240 hertz gaming monitor recently. So I've been only having that, and I wanted to have support for a second monitor, but it should be flexible so I could go from 1 to 2 and 2 side by side, stuff like that. Third, I wanted a more flexible charging option for my phone, like I have at work, where I have a key charger that I can easily use to charge my phone. And fourth and not last, I wanted access to power in my desk when I need to charge something, or just easy USB access for those type of things. So those were sort of my 4 points that I wanted to work on, and here's how I did it. So first up was a desk that I could adjust in height so I could sit and stand working at it. And that cost me in total $550. And if you break that down, the table and the sort of adjustment legs were $350, and then I paid $200 for having it delivered and actually also mounted in my office. It's not that simple actually to mount these tables yourself. I had just a brief thought, how hard can that be? But the installer actually used like half an hour, 40 minutes on doing it, and also did some very decent cable management of the wires that are sort of connected to the table, the desk itself. The other table sort of cord management that you will see later on is done by me, and all my PC and monitors and stuff like that. That's a little bit more complicated. The table is 180 by 80 centimeters, and of course you can choose different sizes, colors, and materials. But the important thing is to have something that's powered, so it's easy to adjust and not something that you have to do manually. Next up was a better handling of my monitor. So currently I've only been using one monitor, but I wanted to switch back to having multiple monitors because I do video editing, and when doing that, it's quite handy having a secondary monitor to have a sort of a clean feed of your video output. So I wanted a secondary monitor, but I didn't want it to have to take up that much space because it's like most perhaps 20% of the time that I use multiple monitors. So what I went for was a mounting system where I have these 2 flexible arms where I can move one monitor aside if I'm not using that and just having my main one just right in my face. And if I'm using sort of 2 side by side, I can do that. And I can move them also both away if I wanted to do something else like doing video shooting. So it's a really flexible system, and you can adjust the angles of both the arms and the head itself. So yeah, it's really flexible to adjust to your specific preferences. But you do need like 30 minutes of tinkering with it because it needs to sort of find out specifically how much your monitor weighs, so it doesn't sort of just shoot up or go down when you are mounting it. So don't be afraid of that when you get the system. It's just part of the process that you need to sort of align the system of the arm to your specific monitor and how much that weighs. One thing I think you should be aware of with a system like that is if you are like me, that sometimes when typing and typing fast, I sometimes notice, given that the bracket is mounted directly to the table, that there's like a light shimmer on the monitor, which is because it doesn't have the usual stand that it would be on. So that's the sort of the small downside of it. I wouldn't say it's any big problem for me. It's just something that I've noticed. And when I'm gaming, I actually don't notice it at all. But it's usually when I'm typing emails or writing documents that I sometimes notice, you know, if I'm really typing fast, that there's this light shimmer on the monitor. So next was finding a solution for charging my phone during work. And that was the sort of a no-brainer, finding a desk key charger. So what I did was I found a specific one on AliExpress, and there were like two versions of it. There's a 10-watt version which costs $16 including shipping, and then there's a slightly less expensive 5-watt version. I think that's $12. The one thing you should note about this one is it's fairly easy to mount if you have the correct accessory for your drill. But it's not sort of screwed tightly into the desk. It's solely relying on the outer plate being slightly larger than the hole that you're drilling. But that also means that you can turn it slightly around, even though it is mounted to your table. So yeah, it's not a problem in everyday life, but it's just something, you know, to be aware of. Where perhaps with the other thing I'm going to show you next, that's more sort of firmly tied into the table and hence cannot move. So last was the easy access to power outlets on my table. And here I was heavily inspired by the solutions you see in many hotel rooms, where you have this flip-up, pop-up socket readily available, but then again easily stows away when you're not using it. So I found a sort of a version like this on AliExpress. It cost $28 including shipping. One thing to note here is that this type of unit is slightly minded towards professional installers, because you need to do a little bit of wiring internally on the device before you can actually plug it into the main outlet power. So if that's something, you know, you're not familiar with or comfortable doing, you should probably get an electrician to support you. But if you're just slightly handy with stuff like this, it should not take you like more than 10 to 20 minutes to do so. Hope you found some inspiration here to improve your own home office setup. I should have done this a long time ago, really. And again, given that at least here in Denmark, I think it's to be expected that we will work from home at least a big portion of the time for foreseeable future. I think, you know, it makes sense to spend a little bit of money to improve your home office setup. I will link all the products in the description field and in the comment section, so you should be easy to go in finding these products that I've used. If you have any questions, you know, just shoot and I'll try to answer them. And just to give some inspiration, I don't think I'm completely there yet with the ultimate setup. The two things that I would like to improve is sort of doing some sort of sleeving on the wires that are running on the floor and also from my PC to the monitors, and to find some sort of mount for my case, PC case to the desk, so that those two sort of follow each other when I'm raising the table. Because right now, given that my case is standing directly on the floor, there's a limit to how much I can raise the table, given, you know, that some of the wires aren't that long. So I need to find a solution for solving that. And there are mounts to be found out there, but there are actually that aren't that many, and some of them are really ugly, and others are okay but seem very expensive. So if you have any suggestions for good solutions to that, I'd be very interested in hearing your guys' experience on that. Or else I'll just see you guys in another video. See you guys.